Palantir Technologies has achieved a major milestone today, and that is hitting a new 52-week year-to-date high as PLTR breaks a key resistance point of $20 and actually holds there for a few hours before retracing right below that $20 price target in terms of the end of the trading session. The question is, will Palantir overcome this resistance point again, hold support, and possibly lead to a breakout in terms of the high price targets? Now, we have a lot to talk about. Make sure you stay tuned. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor. Hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos, and take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm just collecting the data and dispatching it to you. Let's talk about probably one of the most important things about Palantir today was its actual trading session. And in terms of looking at the charts here is that key resistance that we talked about, that $20 at the top. Palantir hits a new 52-week year-to-date high right now with trading volume that is continuing to pour in to PLTR stock. Now, in terms of trading volume, sitting at 75 million, market cap right now at 43 billion, Palantir is continuing to see buying pressure coming into its actual stock. And in terms of the macroeconomic environment, what we've seen is this continued rally among Wall Street, especially after the inflation data has came in flat and we have the lowest CPI reports within the last 2 years, and people predicting, hey, in the next federal meeting, will they hopefully hold rates steady? That's what a lot of Wall Street is betting on right now, and it could be why we're seeing lots of confidence coming across the global markets. Palantir being affected in more of a drastic effect because there's a lot of bullishness, of course, with the previous earnings, and also in terms of it being more of a speculative AI type company. Now, quickly talking about the options right here, what we have in terms of expirations at the end of the week, we have 30,000 in volume in terms of the $20 strike price on the call, and also in terms of the $20.50, you got over 10,000, 21 over 10,000. So people taking a very bullish bet on Palantir increasing in its actual price here in the near future, talking in the terms of expirations on Friday and for next week. Now, November has been a very busy month for Palantir. I do agree with Motley Fool here, talking about their AIP platform. And remember, in the last report, what we saw was that the customer growth has increased, and especially with the commercial customer growth that is continuing to grow as Palantir is offering its boot camp for a completely free trial. And if you go to the website right here, you can see they even claim this 0 to 5 day use case that they will find a value that their AIP bootcamp can bring to a possible client, and this can be tested for free. And what you see with this is helping a tremendous amount of customers, and there's a lot of customers that are lined up onto the table. And talking about this, even with this, AIP bootcamps are involving over 140 organizations by the end of November, with half of them taking place this month. So the customer growth will possibly, what we're seeing from the reports and what we can make in terms of assumptions, will continue to grow. And talking about the top and the bottom lines for Palantir, 17% up over in terms of revenue year over year, and starting to capture that AIP bootcamp revenue and the success of that business tactic. Now, talking about that, one thing that's important to note with Palantir is that it is up 200% year to date, and which is why we really need to take that large percentage into effect in terms of it's one of the best performing AI stocks for this year. We could see a correction at any time, and that is where speculation does come into play. However, one thing to note is that Palantir is still almost down nearly 50% from its early 2021 peak, and is essentially flat right now where we speak compared to where it was at the start of 2022. Now, talking about that, Palantir, and in terms of the macroeconomic impacts, could have that large correction. But looking in the whole broad scope and in terms of long-term approach, looking years back, Palantir is flat. With that being said, what we see it right here is that the Zacks rank has changed it recently from a hold to a buy, and now has jumped it to a strong buy, even at a 200% year-to-date growth. And talking about that, compared to the broad market index, this Palantir stock has actually underperformed the broad market index over the last 3 years. As you can see right here, Palantir at 25.1%, and then you got the broad market index at 30.1%. And talking about that, a large impact that we're seeing at Palantir is not just focusing solely on these government agencies as it has, and what the CEO has said that this has been lumpy in terms of revenue metrics and generators, is that in terms of the diversification with the AIP Bootcamp to more commercial customers allows these private companies to get exposure to the products that Palantir does have to offer, and this can help diversify its client base in terms of the different sectors that it's really getting its feet wet in. We're talking about the healthcare sector with the NHS contract. We're talking about collaborations with PwC and these different firms that Palantir is showing its effectiveness and its value to these different sectors. And talking about that, with this premium valuation that people are putting behind Palantir right now, is that it's trading at a 1-year forward sales multiple of 19.5x, which is above the industry average of 5.4x and above its 3-year median of 15x. And this is where we do need to take this into account, that we could see any correction among Palantir at any moment due to that valuation. However, Palantir also, on the flip side, if you want to keep it on the bullish perspective, has always traded at a premium valuation. And in terms of that, what we're seeing and what we talked about in yesterday's video was the adjustments that we've seen in earnings per share revisions already for the next quarter. We've already seen 2 talking about the next year quarter reports, and right now earnings per shares are estimated to be at about 8 cents. So where Palantir sits right now is at a really interesting point. Will it break these $20 level of resistance again and continuing to rally? I think the general market impact is going to be a big effect on if that can happen. And also depending if the Palantir investors continue to hold or continue to buy, or if we see a profit-taking like capitulation event around the 20, because this is one of the most psychological, because we're going from a 10 to a 20 increment, and also a physical support level for Palantir. So it will be exciting to see what happens. I think one thing for sure though is that Palantir is definitely one of the most trendy AI stocks, of course, compared to some of the other ones, but is also one of the most leading AI stocks in terms of its balance sheet, in terms of the maturity that we're seeing, especially with the inclusion and the fitting the criteria for inclusion in the S&P 500 with that 4th quarter of GAAP profitability. And Palantir is working to increase those customers, which is at the end of the day, what is the main revenue generator? What's the main driver for the business are the customers that are lining up to the door. And if you always have a line at your door, that's a great thing, because what you have is demand coming in to this company, and in terms of its balance sheet, they have a ton of free cash flow on hand with nearly 0 debt. And a lot of AI companies can't say that right now. And Palantir, competing with some of the top blue chip stocks in terms of the actual power and its AI software that it does have to offer, I think can bring more market share from some of those blue chip stocks into more of a speculative stock like Palantir. So definitely excited. We'll be keeping you guys updated on the daily videos. That's all that I have for you guys. Take care. Peace out. Congratulations to all the Palantir bulls out there.